Hi there, and welcome to my latest episode of Mrs. Mummypenny Talks The Big Questions. And my wonderful guests today are Adina and Lou from the Motherless Mothers. Thank you ever so much for joining me.
Thank you for having us.
Yeah.
It's an absolute pleasure to have you. I'll do a little bit of an intro to Motherless Mothers and how I found you. But the big question we're going to be talking about today, obviously, I have a personal finance podcast, and you have a charity for people like us who are motherless mothers. And I wanted to talk about the cost of being a motherless mother, we'll explore where it goes, because it's not just an emotional cost. There's a financial cost and all kinds of things there we can talk about. But so if I share how I discovered you, because you've not been going that long, like maybe 18 months now.
Yeah, exactly.
And I think, so I've written a lot of content over the years about losing my mum, because I've been a journalist for sort of 13 years, and I always write about taboo subjects, money, death, divorce, like all the dramatic subjects, all beginning with D. But and I've always been really open and honest talking about being a motherless mum and my mum and my dad dying, because the people reading it therefore feel less alone if the same thing has happened to them. And I think you popped up on my Instagram feed because we have, shared what we talk about. So and I just thought, oh my gosh, like I've never seen anybody on the internet before like setting anything up like this. So and actually that's something I've struggled with my whole life, is finding support.
Yeah.
Whether I was a teenager when my mum had died, whether I was in my 20s, 30s or 40s. So I just thought it was amazing that you've come along to fill that gap, that void. So thank you for being here.
Thank you.
So tell me a little bit about the sort of story of why you came up with the movement. Let's call it a movement and a charity.
So I usually take this one. It's like a question that we're asked a lot, actually, and it's important. Like, why did we start it? So it was born out of personal experience, as a lot of these things are. I had a baby in the spring of 2024, and I knew throughout my pregnancy to expect to struggle. My mum died in 2012 when I was 20, very suddenly overnight, and I have two older sisters who I'd watched go through pregnancy and motherhood before me, and they're amazing mums, but they had really found it hard. It had completely cracked their grief wide open again, becoming a mum. So I thought I was being really productive and proactive by speaking to my midwife early on and sort of saying, what is there available for women like me who are not going to have a mum around to come and bring shepherd's pies and stand by my bedside and nurse me and take the baby and be that image of a mum that we see so often, like whether it's in books, social media, you speak to people in conversation. Like I just knew I wouldn't have that. So I asked early on. She said she was very sorry. She was very, very sympathetic, but actually that she wasn't aware of anything. She could maybe signpost me to one other woman that she knew of in her practice who might want to talk to me. And I thought, I don't think that is exactly what I'm looking for. So I just went on with my pregnancy, had a really positive birth, and then it got to about 6 weeks having had my son, and all the things that I knew were coming just came. It just like flooded over me, and I was nursing my baby one night, and I joined some Facebook groups, again in pregnancy, to be proactive, but they were specifically for motherless daughters. But I thought, to hell with it, I'm going to write on these groups and I'm going to just say what I need and see if anyone can help me, because surely there are other women out there feeling exactly like me. So I wrote on this group, I think it was like June, and I said, is there anything out there for motherless mothers, specifically mums who, I'm a new mum, I don't know anyone else like me. And a few people responded on the thread and said they weren't aware of anything, but actually this group was really supportive. And if I did want to talk about the issues that I was having, I was welcome to, but kind of like a bit like tumbleweedy. And then Adina responded, and, it was this just like shining light, really. I didn't expect anyone to give me the answers that I needed, but B, anyone with such like clarity and intelligence. And she just knew exactly what I was talking about. She was already working in the kind of motherless mothers research space. And I just knew she was the right person to talk to. So we had a call, and it's quite weird, really. We hadn't ever met or didn't know much about each other, but we had this FaceTime, and she explained her story and I explained mine. And we said, yeah, we need to change this. We need to, first and foremost, create a group where women can connect. And never did we think we would go to where we already are, like you say, in just a year and a half. And honestly, the rest was history. Like, we connected really well, and we share very clearly the same goals and aims about lifting the lid on this experience and providing what's never been there for motherless mothers that so desperately is needed. And that is, that's our like founding story.
So Adina, then following on from that, then give us a little bit of background, because you're a psychologist, aren't you?
Yes. So I'm a child psychotherapist, but I lost my mom when I was an infant. So my whole life I kind of have carried this, the impact of that. And there's nothing that it has not impacted, and so I was very aware of the grief, obviously, but I, unlike Lou, had no idea that it was going to come back, rearing its head in pregnancy and childbirth and early motherhood. So, I was totally blindsided by it. No, it wasn't. And, it's not like in my psychology or psychotherapy trainings that was brought up. Like, we talked about attachment wounds, of course, but nothing about bereavement, grief. Like, when you have that void, that absence, like what happens? No, it was invisible. So I was just shocked. And I think that's what sort of piqued my curiosity. It was going through that experience. And so I started looking for the research, what is there out there? Nothing. There's literally nothing. And so that's why, in the background, I was kind of already, I was actually writing a book. That was kind of where I was at the time. I was going to write a book about the unique experience of, matrescence. So becoming a mother when you don't have, a mother in your life. And that's how, at that time, when I connected with Lou. The book is not at all in my life right now. It's fully TMM all the way. And we're doing like way bigger things, as she said, we have the community, but we also have our advocacy and our research. So you were at the event, so you know what we're doing in terms of, the grief aware care, making maternal health grief aware, training healthcare professionals in having these conversations, being aware of the sort of impact, the signs, the, things that motherless mothers experience that are just completely off the radar. And I think that's hugely important. Even the statistics, there wasn't any statistic on how many of us are there. Based on our research, it's nearly 30% of the population. So, it's mind-blowing,
isn't it? It's so shocking. But the definition of a motherless mother, so
yes.
you would maybe assume that it's somebody whose mum has died, but it's not just that, is it? And
no,
I think those were so let's backtrack a little bit, because you held this incredible event in September, I think.
October
in the House of Parliament, like incredible like setting and location. And it was a room of like 80, 100 women.
Yeah.
And it was, I mean, there's so many emotions I can use to explain it, but it was just like this big hug of all these people in the same situation that you're in. And because you feel so lonely, and certainly it's not something, oh yeah, my mum's dead, it's not something you shout about, is it? So you never know if other people are in that situation. So it was a very emotional day. I cried so many times, but some of the stories that really got me were obviously stories where it was a similar situation to me, and I could really feel that we connected with people like Helen that was on the panel, but also like women who with other kinds of motherless situations. So you've got illness and you've got abandonment and
estrangement.
So it's not just the death of a mother, is it? That
no,
they all have very different impacts.
They do, and they all do impact your mothering experience. And I think that's why it was so important for Lou and I from the very beginning. We wanted to really make sure that all voices were heard and all experiences were, because they also are invisible, and and it's important. So, yeah.
And actually, I think because Adina and I, both of our mums died, but we come at it still from very different perspectives. Like Adina says, she was a baby, I was an adolescent, and just the difference in that is huge in what it's into our lives and the experiences that we've had. So just making sure that the spectrum is covered of all types of loss. Like we learn every day, don't we, Adina? Something else about this experience from another woman's perspective, or when we have our conversations on our podcast, and you'll never know it all because you only ever had your experience. But like we say, like it has no boundaries. Like motherlessness is like, it creeps into every corner, it seeps through your life. And we are so privileged to be able to hear these different stories, but maintaining the sort of kind of like neutrality to the experience. Like it's not worse for one woman over another. It's all really hard. And that's so important.
Yeah, I think no matter what the experience of mother loss is, so even women who are not yet mothers but have experienced mother loss, their decision to start a family or to have a family is also, for many women impacted. It can make some women terrified of having a family because they are so concerned of, that grief coming up, or that they won't know how to be a mom because they don't have their mom, or, not having that support. I couldn't possibly do that. Or the opposite could be true. It might make a woman, be desperate to want to start a family as soon as possible, early, because she feels that recreating that bond will, be healing. So, I think there's another aspect to that is often missed. And I think amongst all of us, we all experience this feeling like a hole, a void, and there isn't really vocabulary to describe like a motherless mother's experience. There aren't words.
I think that's really interesting that you touch upon the sort of desire to replace that kind of relationship that you're missing. So listeners of the podcast will know from me that my mum died when I was 16. And then my dad died like not long afterwards. They both died of heart attacks, but not at the same time. And it's really interesting when I look, because I'm 48 now, so most of my life I have been an orphan. And I look back at it's impacted so many decisions, but particularly around relationships and children. And I was so I was in my 20s, I was so sort of desperate to find the perfect relationship, except it wasn't the perfect relationship. It was just try to find a relationship so I can have children and have that thing that's like just mine, and
a family.
That family that I had lost at such a young age. So but the issues with that down the line is that I didn't necessarily choose the right person. So then I end up in a situation with, a relationship that's ended, a divorce, and children getting older. And now I'm feeling like, oh my gosh, like all this is being taken away from me again. And like, am I going back to being, that person all alone again?
I think it triggers, like it triggers everything, right? Like, even recently,
the abandonment stuff.
Like it can be the most flippant comment, but you're like, oh, I don't know, what did my husband say to me the other day? Like, you moan so much about being tired. And I was like, well, and he was totally joking, but I was like, actually, that's really annoying because A, I am exhausted, but B, like that just goes into so many other realms of my life. Like, I wish I wasn't so tired. I wish I was sleeping better. Like, I wish I did have more people to talk to. I wish I could just be honest with more people about the way that I feel. And he's like, oh my God, it was just a comment. And I'm like, I know, but it affects everything. It affects everything. And I feel quite sorry for him, really, because it's like they can't say anything without it being like an issue of like grief. But like you say, Lynn, it follows you, and you think you're kind of dealing with it, and you're boxing something off and you're doing the right thing. And then it creeps back in again, and you're like, oh, not this again, and it never goes away. It never goes away. So I'm there with you on that for sure.
Yeah. So I think it'd be really nice to touch on sort of the different stages of motherhood and what you think the sort of we focus quite a lot on maybe the early stages of when you first have that baby, but then as you sort of progress through motherhood, how the different sort of stages of how that loss and that grief can affect you. So obviously when you first have the baby, you're missing that support mechanism, which is I think that I think what I've done to cope with it actually is I do have a sister who's 20 years older than me, but that is a complex relationship because she's almost always tried to be a combination of sister, mum, friend, and you can't be all three. So that and then inevitably you're none of them, because you can't do everything. And I think she tried to be around for maybe when my first child was born, but then I sort of started to develop sort of friendship networks around me. But I've developed a network around me of my best friends. So two of my best friends have lost both their parents.
Oh wow.
It's like I've sort of made this happen. And what my actual best friend since I was 11, we've gone through pretty much the same
I've never
thing.
heard of anyone having that. That's amazing. That you've had like each other to sort of go through all the different life transitions and
and she's almost like Becky. Since I was 11, we call each other like soul sisters because we're just so connected in what we've been through, and we grew up together. And she knew my mum, and her mum looked after me when my mum died. So we've just got this incredible connection. So I like, and it's exactly what you've created with your network and your movement. It's finding people. It's really important to find people in that same situation as you, just to feel that comfort and get the guidance.
Yeah.
Yes, you don't feel so alone. I think that because like I didn't know anyone ever until we started doing this work. I just always felt different and weird, and it was just being aware that I was having a completely different life to all my friends, and you know it's and then it just carries on even in like the birthing class. I'm still the weird one, the one that doesn't and then it's just this constant thing. And so it wasn't until we started this work that I was like, oh my gosh, there's so many of us, and how you just feel like it cuts through all of the small talk, all of the like surface level stuff. You just feel you connect on such a deep level. It's so just, I don't know. I don't even know. But like the women in the community are amazing, incredible human beings. And it's just, we are able to like be there for each other. Even if it's just you're having a bad day and you can take out your phone and like write in the chat, like, I'm struggling with this. And within 10 seconds, you'll have, 30 people writing to you and like lifting you up. And that is just life-changing, honestly.
It really is.
You've got loads of little sort of offshoot WhatsApp groups that are very specific to the so I'm in the one that I connect with the most closely to is the orphan motherless mothers, so those of us that lost both parents, and it's not massively active, but somebody will just occasionally put a message in of, this is just exactly like that situation you just described, Lou, with a trigger thing that happened. And everybody will just pile in and just say, I felt the same, or maybe some like little coping mechanism things, and it's just beautifully helpful.
Yeah, and I think those offshot groups, they really did evolve quite organically. Like we didn't really go in, did we, with like a vision of,
no,
I don't know how many.
We've never done this before.
Yeah, we were just like, let's see what people want and need. Right. And it just became so clear that although we share this common thread, which will never be, taken from us, it's even more important than ever to have your like micro group within your group, within your community. And yeah, you can really see it happening, like you say, Lynn, like when you find that right place for you and you feel like you can be like, this is just really getting to me. You feel the responses flooding, you feel the like virtual support, you feel it around you, and you're like, these women get me, like they get me. They don't know me, but they get me because it cuts through everything, like Adina says. So yeah, that wasn't intended, but has become very important as we've worked through developing the community side.
Yeah. And I one of my favorite bits of it is so I when I came to the day in the House of Parliament, so you had this panel of speakers, and one of the speakers, which was Helen, I really resonated with her. And then I ended up, it didn't sort of happen on purpose, but I ended up sitting quite near her when we went for the afternoon tea, which was such a lovely thing to do. In it was in
Westminster Abbey.
Westminster Abbey. Oh my gosh, which was beautiful because I went into Westminster Abbey afterwards and had a little look around. Yeah, we connected like personally, and we've met up for lunch because she's a journalist as well, like similar to me. So, and that conversation we had over lunch, we literally did not stop talking for like 3 hours, and we went so deep and literally just peeled back all of our, but not just stories. We peeled back like insecurities and, you know, some of the more like taboo things that you probably shouldn't say as a mum. Like sometimes I'll say this on a podcast. Sometimes I just want to run away. Like I just don't want to be a mum anymore. When, you know, where it all gets too much. Like, I mean, I've got 3 teenage boys, which is really quite stressful. And I really, it's going down into those really deep layers of actually, no, this is what I feel like. And so much of this is to do with, I was abandoned, not through my mum's choice, obviously, but I'm incredibly grateful for meeting you guys and having the community around me. So I encourage anybody listening, and I share your posts quite a lot on my Instagram, just to try and hit as many of those motherless mothers that we can.
Yeah, I think it's interesting to say about like, I don't know, like peeling back the layers when you met for lunch with Helen. Like, I just can't explain that experience to anybody. It was like when I met Adina for the first time, and it was like you just feel the most intense sense of relief. This sense of like heaviness is lifted instantly. And actually, I don't think I've had that same, I mean, I have heaviness, don't get me wrong, but that same sense of loneliness in the same way since the Motherless Mothers came along. Like what it does for our mental health, like Adina and I, is not to be underestimated as well. So it's huge from all angles.
Yeah. So what do you think changes as we progress through motherhood? Because so your kids are, how old are your children?
Mine, sorry.
Yeah.
Well, my little boy's nearly 2, so I'm still quite a new mum in that sense. But Adina has teenagers.
I have teenagers, 14 and 17 now. But it's interesting, like how it impacts all the different stages. I mean, I would say it's mostly intense during those, obviously, the early like years of motherhood for obvious reasons. You know, it's already so hard for mothers in general, and then you add in all the triggers and the grief and everything else that comes to the surface. It's like a monumental ask of a motherless mother, but yet, you know, she doesn't have that support. There's no recognition, there's no acknowledgement, there's no validation. None of that is available right now, which is what we're trying to change. But it doesn't just go away. You know, it keeps coming up all the time. We're always, I feel like we are looking for that reassurance. We're looking for sort of like someone to be like, you know, you're doing it right. You got this, like, you know, because we don't have anyone that maybe, you know, we don't have that support, that sort of like person to go to, that lighthouse to just sort of be that person for us while we're that person for our children. Like there's no one behind us sort of, you know, doing that for us. I think also like health, anxiety is a big one. So I mean, for me at least, like I think being a motherless mother makes me so scared of like having that repeat itself for my children that it almost like creates this huge anxiety around like, well, we've talked a lot about it, haven't we? Like this control, this wanting to control everything, which is impossible. But also, the health anxiety, you know, I've been sick with the flu, like, and it can take me into like a whole spiral of things. Like I worry about stuff. Even when my kids get sick, then I'm like, I worry. I think like I maybe overreact. I think for us, maybe we can overcompensate. Maybe we have death anxiety. Maybe, you know, there's so many things that we have to grapple with in all stages of our motherhood. And it's hard. And then you've got like the more obvious things like, you know, grandparents' day at school, or, you know, you go to watch your kids' show and everyone's got these big families and, you know, it's just you, or like, you know, all that stuff. And it just makes you feel so lonely again. And it's just constant. And it doesn't matter what stage of motherhood you're in. There's just always going to be stuff.
Yeah. It makes me quite emotional because a lot of the things you've described there make me think of, and sometimes because I'm just so used to it, because like
that's all you've ever had.
It's all I've ever known. It's all I've ever had. But of course, like there's the constant, I thrive off of reassurance and validation and almost like too much. And it's probably why I do the job I do. Like, you know, I've got all these people on Instagram validating me all the time. Yeah, it's like every kind of family event you go to. And I started to avoid them, like, you know, nativities and sports days and stuff. And I would always be quite vocal. I'm like, I hate it. But yeah, it comes back to everybody's just got their mums and dads with them. And you're just by yourself yet again. And like I didn't have I when I was married, he used to work quite a lot, so I was literally there by myself.
My husband was traveling like 6 months a year when my kids were really small, and I had to get like an au pair to come and help. But I mean, obviously that's not the same, but it was even more like triggering for me, because again, I'm like, oh, I'm all alone again. I mean, I didn't even realize at the time that that's what was happening. But yeah, also I'm already worried, and like I talk about it to my husband already about like the empty nest thing, because Luna's 17 now, my daughter, and I'm already thinking like, oh my God, they're going to leave me in a few years. Like, not really, but you know, like it feels like that role of motherhood for me, like it, from my personal experience, it has been very healing. And I have felt like I have gained so much in terms of like the little child in me, like feeling that unconditional love that I missed out on. And so I feel like when they move out to, you know, fly, you know, as they should, their wings, and how that's going to impact me and how that's going to bring it all up again. And like, I'm already like worried because I know it's going to be a huge adjustment, and, you know, it's part of life, but like, it's going to be, I don't know. I'm like, we should be talking about that too. Like, even for moms who do have moms in their lives, I know the empty nest syndrome thing is a big thing, but like for us, especially, like,
what it's a whole other level, isn't it? Yeah. And it's like, I think sometimes I feel where when it's big things going on, I've got a situation happening with one of my children at the moment. And I literally don't know where to turn because it's quite a serious thing. So I'm like, I can't talk to his school about it because of the potential impact on him. I have a very bad relationship with his father, so he can't help. And like I've tried to sort of float it with my niece. So I've got a niece who's the same age as me, and she completely disregarded it. It's like, the natural person you would talk to is your mum, isn't it? And when you don't have that anchor in your life, it's just
it's like your foundation, like it's like built on who you are. And I've had people try to, I need to choose my words wisely here, but like not discredit what it means to be motherless, but almost like, but I'm here, or but you have me,
minimize
it, and to be questioned about actually how seriously it impacts your life is a really difficult situation to be in, because I shouldn't have to justify that to anybody, what that feels like. You feel it in every layer of your body, to your cells. Like I have no words to describe what that feels like, because that is just who I am. So when people do say, like, can you not feel that gap here or there, or you're offending me because I've been there for you, and what's wrong with the support that I've given? I'm like, I have no words, because you truly will never understand this. So I fully relate, Lynn. I think it's just trying to fill the void is near impossible, and that person who should be there will never be there. And people say they understand. I'm not sure they ever will understand what it's like.
No. But again, hence why. So people listening to this that are maybe in the situation that are, going through what we've gone through, join the community, because you're going to get that support. And I guess, like, what tools and what recommendations would you suggest to sort of help get through some of the difficult challenges? Like, I've been in therapy since I was like 20.
Yeah,
So
me too.
my entire adult life. So I have, which has come at a huge cost over the years, going back to the cost of things. But I've tried all different types of therapy as well, but the one that I have settled on in the end, which has worked for me for the last 5 years, because I have a therapy session like once a month. And I don't think I'll ever be able to stop, because it's just such a big traumatic event that I just, and it impacts on so many other things in my life, that I just need that therapy. But I do Human Givens psychotherapy, which is sort of all about your emotional needs. And because losing your mum, I always just refer to losing my mum, not so much as losing my dad, because it was really losing my mum which rocked me, because she was my carer. She was my everything. My dad was quite an unemotional, not available person. Because one of your key emotional needs from Human Givens therapy is having sort of security. And because my security was ripped away from me, then that's my key need. So that's the therapy that works for me. But what other sort of coping mechanisms are there that help people out?
I mean, for me, that's the big one, is the allowing the feelings, because, and I talk about it all the time, because I think some of the feelings are painful. It's human nature to want to defend against it or avoid it, or, just not acknowledge them. And I think then it's a weird thing to say, because I don't want to call it positive, because there's nothing really positive about not having a mom. But I will say, if you allow yourself to open up and give space for, the whole spectrum of the feelings, because grief like cracks you open, and in a way that is just impossible not to. I mean, from a child, like allowed that to happen, that I would be moved if I heard a choir sing. Like I would cry. Like I just have stayed open, have managed to, I don't know, I feel lucky in that way, that I can just allow the feelings to come up, acknowledge them, like befriend them in a way. And the beauty of that is that you can be fully present with yourself, with your relationships, with your child. You are not afraid of the feelings, of living, of being, human, because that is what we're here for. And I don't know, I think if you block out the pain, the grief, the loss, then you're kind of diluting and muting the love, the joy, and the beauty as well, because it kind of like closes in on your capacity to live fully. And so, as painful as it is, I think just even if, you allow yourself we had someone on our podcast that spoke about, she gave herself a time limit of, like, I think she said, an hour a day, she's allowed to just let herself feel, whatever it is, anger, sad, like just really lean into it. And then, she can, like, okay, put that aside and like go about her day and like just giving herself that like boundary, so it's not so overwhelming, like, oh, I'm going to cry the whole day, you know, whatever it is. Do whatever you need to do, but just allow whatever it is to happen, because you know, it's just your body like communicating to you. It's a feeling. It's talking to you. It's telling you something needs to be processed and looked at and given, you know, respect and space. So for me, I think that is the number one. If you can, you know, allow yourself to work on that and being aware of whatever it is you're feeling. And obviously therapy for me was really key. And interestingly enough, I feel like you have to find the right therapist, because not all therapists maybe are the right one for you. So don't, if you've had a bad experience, think, you know, therapy's not for me, just give it another chance. There's so many types of therapy too. So you have to find, you know, what works for you. But yeah, that would be my top thing. What about you, Lou?
Well, I think just going back to what you've said, all of those things, you've shown me like how to do that. I'm really fearful of feeling the spectrum of emotions. I really hate it, but it is the best way forward. It is the best way forward. I think something that again has come to light since starting Motherless Mothers is we all crave that, you know, motherly reassurance, that presence, that warmth that we no longer have. And, you know, I've tried to find that in other people, which has sometimes backfired because, you know, I sort of say, don't put all your eggs in one person's basket because their priorities might change. Then you feel abandonment again. So finding that within yourself, and, you know, we talk about it, don't we? Like self-mothering, and it was really hard to dig deep, especially on those days where you are so vulnerable and emotionally just worn out and wrung out. But I feel I'm more able to do that now than I have been in the past. Just being like, do you know what, today, like, this is enough. Like, just being here in the presence of your child. Like, you don't need to take him anywhere else. You don't need to be in painful situations with, for me, it's like mums and grandmas in baby groups. Like, that's still very much my, you know, daily life. And just avoid it. He doesn't care. Your son doesn't care. Don't punish yourself. And then sometimes if I do have that like extra bit of strength at the end of the day, I will congratulate myself, because I think, do you know what you did today? Like, again, it could just be like walking past a mum and her grandma, and the grandma walking with the pram, or, you know, someone asking me like, oh, so do you have childcare during the week? Like, do you, like, because I say I work 3 days, they say, oh, does your mum have your baby on those other days? And I have to say, no, she doesn't. Actually, she's not alive, so I don't have that option. And like, sometimes I won't say it like that. Sometimes I'll be like, and I'll just lie because I can't deal with the confrontation of it. But when I do, and I do tell the truth, I say to myself, God, you couldn't have done that 5 years ago, or what you've done today is great. You're a great mum. You're doing great. And just those two together, just looking after that inner voice and that inner critic, have really helped me.
That's
hard.
I really struggle with that.
I do.
And sometimes certain people will say it to me, like my bestest of bestest friends will you know, you have I have a couple of people that I voice note with every day. And occasionally I'll get a message and they'll say to me, Lynn, you're such a good mum. And I can't say it to myself. I'm more like, I'm not doing a good job here. I'm not being a good mum. And I still need that external validation, which is
everybody does though.
Work on it.
Yeah, of course we do.
Because it's not, I say this, you know, it's not a thankless task being a mother, but it kind of is. No one's there saying, look at you go. Like, that's your mum, right? Like, your mum does that.
Yeah. Finding your tribe then. So the tribe for Motherless Mothers is your tribe. So tell me about all the different things that people can get involved with, and like the workshops you run, and because you're running another like sort of annual event this year, aren't you?
We've got loads going on in 2026. It's a very exciting time. So we've got our monthly online drop-ins, as you know. We've got the general one, which is for all types of mother loss, and we also have an estrangement one that's specific for women who are estranged from their moms. Those are monthly, and you can join from anywhere in the world. Then we are working on in-person events. So we'll be starting those this year, and we're really excited about that. We've got one in London that will be a monthly drop-in in person for, I think, actually she hasn't decided yet if it's going to be for new mums or all stages of mother loss, but it's something that we then hope to roll out in other cities. So that's going to happen. We also have, what else do we have, Lou? Oh, we're working on the other in-person things, aren't we? Like daytime and evening events, which will be starting, I think, in March.
Yeah.
Am I missing anything?
There's so much. There's like counselling service. So that's available for women who want to kind of refer in, who are struggling with, all the things that we've discussed. We have 4 free sessions, and then there's a choice to kind of continue with the counsellor, and they would be paid for.
Wow, that's amazing.
Yeah, there's been such an appetite for that, and something that we're just wanting to expand all the time and work with other therapists to, I think that's a really important service. And then like within that, we're wanting to do like closed group sessions, also facilitated by therapists, where women can come back and meet regularly, say for 6 weeks, and they go through a whole kind of like course, I suppose, with this group of women. They're familiar, they get to know each other, they don't have that sense of like, oh, I don't know who's joining this week, because it's like a closed circle, there's not new people coming in. So that trust is there, and that kind of, reassurance is there, and that's something that's come out of feedback. Like, we're just listening to our community basically, and when we ask, what do you need, what do you want more of, what doesn't work, we respond to that, and we try our best to kind of stay in tune with what's going on for people. I think another big thing is we're right at the very start of it, but we want to bring like a voice to motherlessness in the workplace. It's something that personally has affected my entire career. Not having parents, because I'm like you, Lynn, I lost mum and dad very close together, and my self-worth, my confidence, my authenticity, what I actually want to do with my life, like everything has been affected by grief. And we know from the stats that we presented last year, like this is not a marginal issue. There are so many women out there. Grief isn't 9 to 5, Monday to Friday. Like, people are taking this into their jobs, and it's not being talked about. It's negatively perceived, when actually we have superpowers. We have superpowers as women who don't have mums, and that needs to be harnessed. Like, those powers need to be brought out in our jobs and and celebrated. So that's something that's really exciting, and something that we really believe quite strongly in. Is that it? There's probably more.
I know. Well, obviously, we're like workshops and online talks and all sorts of things. Yeah, we do have a lot, and we're like trying to.
This is on top of your regular.
I know, our regular life.
Wow. We have volunteers. Like, we're all volunteers doing this, and it's mega work, and it's.
So we love it.
Absolutely in our hearts. Yeah, it's amazing.
What's your day job, Lou?
I work at the university in Leeds. I'm a copywriter, so I work in marketing.
In Leeds.
Yeah, but I used to be an NHS nurse, so I've taken like quite a few twists and turns into like health communications, but writing was always at the heart of what I loved. And my nursing, I think, again, just to like go back to the career change, that was a massive U-turn based on grief. And I think only now I can sit quite comfortably with that and say, yeah, I did that because my parents died, and obviously I loved it and it was interesting to me, but it wasn't me. It wasn't my whole me. And I felt a lot of shame for that. And now I just don't, because I'm like, I loved it, but it wasn't right.
It's weird, because I would feel like that is why I did what I did and studied what I did. I mean, it really does impact so much of like our life choices.
I've just gone back to college to retrain to become a psychotherapist.
Oh my gosh.
Wow.
So the human given therapy,
world.
So the human given therapy that I've been a client of, because it's been so successful and I'm so interested in it, I'm training in it. So
love that.
But the career shift thing, really interesting as well. Like that would be my third career.
Yeah.
It's like
What would be?
So moving into being a therapist.
Yes.
So I was an accountant, then I became a journalist.
Yes.
And now
I think that's exciting though. Why not? Like, why can't you just reinvent yourself and do whatever you like?
But gosh, this is another interesting thing. So my mum died when I was 16, and I tend to change up my life every sort of 14, 15, 16 years.
Oh, really?
That's really interesting.
That is.
I evolve every time. But something I wanted to touch on earlier, which I talk to a lot of people about, because I'm friends with a lot of older women, is and when you talked about health anxiety, it's the fear of so my mum died when she was 58. I mean, it's 10 years off, but I'm already feeling the anxiety of that 10 years. And what on earth do I do for that 58th year of my life? Like when my mum died. So, I mean, that's, the other scale of it when you get to that point. But
I remember passing, my mom died when she was 23. And I remember like that year being 15. And I was like, oh, she's such a baby. Like, oh my gosh, like it's just so weird. And then, it's a weird thing. Yeah. And also the ages you were when your mom died, when you like have kids that are those ages too, when you see them and you're like, oh my gosh, that's how little I was. And it's just, it's,
and for me as well, I'm the age now that my mum was when she had me. And I feel this like sense of a clock ticking. Yeah. It's so weird. Yeah. So it's like a pressurizing thing. And I never would have viewed ages in that way, I don't think, if it went.
No. And I wonder whether once I get past 58, I'll suddenly get this like freedom of I've broken the who knows what will happen, but I've got through that sort of curse, or you know that. Yeah, it's a weird thing. But the other thing it has really focused my mind on is getting really fit and healthy, because for a lot of my life I've not looked after myself. Like I've been overweight, and my cholesterol was high and stuff. And in the past year, I've really harnessed, because I think I had you've got 10 years left potentially of your life, which I know is very dramatic to say that, but I have to be healthy for those 10 years in order to get way beyond those 58 years, because my mum wasn't the healthiest person in the world. And when you've got some control over that, then you can get beyond it. So it's had a positive impact that way.
Yeah.
So where can people find you if they want to connect to your movement?
Shall I go? You go. All right. We've got our website, obviously, which is themotherlessmothers.com. You can find us on Instagram at the Motherless Mothers UK. We've got a Facebook group. We're on Reddit, which is also, I think, the Motherless Mothers UK. TikTok, same handle. We're on Substack, LinkedIn. We've got a podcast, which you can find us on Apple and Spotify. I think that's everything.
Yeah. And then if you want to join the WhatsApp group, it's like just the QR code on the website, and you can join straight from the website.
Yeah.
Which, I would recommend women to do. I think that's a really great community in a pocket, as someone once said. It's, invaluable.
Cool. Right. And just to end, for a little bit of fun, because I am a financial journalist and we have to talk a little bit about money. And keep it short and sweet. So what's your biggest financial success and your biggest financial learning? I don't want to say mistake, but
oh my gosh, I don't have financial success. Everything. I've always done jobs that are either free or barely paying. And no, I mean, I think also I will say not having financial help from parents is scary. And so I had to pay I had to take out loans to cover my uni fees. And I was terrified. Cause in the US it's extremely expensive. And so, and then obviously I, had to get a credit card. They're on college campuses in the US, shoving credit cards down your throat, cause they know the easy market to take advantage. So I got that. And I didn't have anyone giving me advice on, finance and savings and what to do. And, I'd work 3 jobs at a time, trying to make ends meet. And it was so scary and so stressful. And yeah, the credit card, the mistake for me was like having a credit card and like buying that $2, bottle of shampoo that then by the time I paid for it was like $50 because of the interest fees and stuff. And I was just like, honestly, as soon as I was able to, I just stopped using credit cards. So that for me, it was like the important, if I can't like afford to buy it, then I should not be buying it. That was my lesson.
Yeah, I would say I do really feel the like, not the sadness, but like the weight of not having like a financial fallback in parents. Like it's not
massive,
it's scary.
It's so scary. And trying to explain that, I think as you get older almost becomes harder because people are like, but you wouldn't be asking your parents for money at your age. I'm like, you don't know. Like, you don't know if like I lost my house or like my marriage fell through or like my job. Like I worry about redundancy a lot. And it's not that I think my job is particularly at risk. It's just what's happening right now. And I freak out. Like I've dropped my salary quite a lot since going part-time and looking after my son. So yeah, I worry a lot about the background, like what if. I'm a bit like Adina. I don't feel like I've ever like sussed finance and had a massive success. Like, I mean, yeah, it's
I got a free coffee from Pret yesterday. There you go.
I mean, I would love to say like, do this, and it's really helped me.
Yeah.
But I think because I was just so young when I was like in a situation like you, Lynn, like I was orphaned and had no one to tell me like what to do with investing and saving. And like, we always were encouraged to save, and we had like our Halifax book and we had our like children's accounts. But then suddenly it was like, we sort of took on our parents' world, and it was like, what do I do? And the advice was just not there. And I feel that like financial advice for people who've gone through kind of like your entire family is like liquidated, and then you're like, what's the best move right now? And the emotion tied up in money has been a big thing for me as well. Like, okay, this isn't just my money, like, it's my family. And yeah, that was really difficult. I think as well, getting into a cycle, like Adina says, of credit cards. I always pay my credit card off if I do have money on it, but it's like spending over your like salary, and then you're in a cycle of paying off your credit card, and then your salary drops again, and that is just a cycle when you're just not earning what you want to be earning, and you're spending too much.
And I can't, I tried to articulate the debt thing. I wrote a piece for the Telegraph in November about how you end up in debt cycles, and I did reference my parents' death, but nobody really got the point. Actually, is it Mandy, the psychologist?
Yeah.
She picked up on it on LinkedIn actually and said there's a clear connection here between Lynn's debt cycles and her parents dying. I mean, she specialises in adolescence bereavement, doesn't she? But I get into cycles of almost like effort cycles where I'm like, well, we're not going to be around forever, so I'm just going to spend thousands of pounds on a holiday with my kids.
True.
And then, because I haven't got the money to do it, I get into debt to do it, and I'm not sure I can ever repair that cycle.
Oh my God, it's so funny you say that, because like I can have that same thing too. But my husband, he's the one that is like the very sensible one, and he'll just be like, but I'm always like, oh, but life is so short. Like, it's just But yeah, it's interesting, isn't it?
And that's interesting. We all share that thought as well of like, oh, to hell with it, let's just do it. And then you're like, oops, why did I do that?
And then you potentially spend months or years paying it all back. Right. Okay, cool. That was an amazing discussion. Thank you ever so much for doing what you do and for supporting such an underserved community in the world. And I just love that I'm part of the community. So
we love you, too. Thank you, Lynn.